Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting a vlog. So the plan, if you've watched my last video, or will this have been the last video? It's probably gonna, let's be honest with me, it's probably been the last video that I posted. I posted my November TBR. So November is Knock It Out November, which is a low-key readathon that Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy has made. And so basically the whole goal of it is to do goals. And I have failed miserably at my reading goals this year because I just completely forgot how to read basically for like half the year, which is a lot of fun. So I'm trying to get back on track with reading still, and this seemed like a fun way to try and do it. I've decided to like go all out, so I have made prompts. Again, watch the video for them to be explained and all of that. And then I will pick a book based on prompts, which I've made based on like those like end of year videos that I made. So like, you know, those books that I really want to read next year. And I think I'm going to do it 15 days in 15 days. So yeah. But the first thing that we need to do is actually obviously pull. But my first pull, I'm basically going to cheat because, well, I'm going to pull something and I might try and match a book to it, but there's one prompt in there that only one book fits for. That's a book I have to read before Saturday. And that is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. Or Islington. I still haven't looked it up. And it's an epic fantasy. I don't really know the synopsis of it, but I have to read it this week because book club. So that's going to be like the first prompt because I'm going to cheat. Like, I mightn't cheat. Like, I'll see if it like happens to happen. But I'm going to be reading that anyway. And then the other prompt that I pick, I'm back in my Sims era, and if I can pick an audiobook from a prompt that I took out, I'll use it. Okay, so we have a pencil case full of pieces of paper, and I can't see what any of them say because they're folded into quarters. So, and pick a good one. We'll see if I can get the one that I want just through like wishful thinking, but I doubt it. I don't think this is it. No, it's not this. Ranking authors. Crap. Actually, no. This might work. This will work. Yes, this will work. Okay, so Ranking Authors is a series that I do on my channel. So I've done V.E. Schwab, Marissa Meyer, Cassandra Clare, Alice Oseman, Frederick Bachman. I feel like there might be another one, but I can't really remember. And then I also, every year, I rank every single book that I read. Those are like also go in that playlist. I'll leave it linked down below. Though also, some of those are like really early videos and are really bad. So do I want to leave a link down below. Well, Ranking Authors, that was one of the goals I had this year. I wanted to do more of those videos, which technically I succeeded because I did one. I did Frederick Bachman. But yeah, haven't done any others. And the thing is, a lot of the authors that I read have like huge backlists, like huge. And obviously I want to read them, but also then there's like usually like a couple that I'm like, I'm actually not really that interested in that book, which makes things complicated. But the three that I have, and I actually mentioned in my TBR video, were Robin Hood, because I want to rank all of the Elderling books, but I want an audiobook, and I can't listen to them just on audio. I like to read and audio together, so that's not going to work for that. Also, you know, The Shadow of What Was Lost, huge, so we're not going to do that. So then that leaves the other two that I'm aiming for, but are a long way off, are Naomi Novik and Rinch Pecco. So Rinch Pecco, they have written a whole bunch of series, mostly YA, though they did release like an adult vampire novel, which I've seen getting pretty good reviews, which I really want to read. But also that's another really big fantasy, so that's not gonna happen either. I also have three of their books on my shelf. One of them I actually started, got 50 pages into and stopped. And I do have that on audiobook, and because it's a YA fantasy, I wouldn't mind listening to the audiobook, so that might work. And then the other one is Naomi Novik. And see, I finished The Last Graduate yesterday, so I really want to read The Golden Enclave, but I don't think my library has it yet, which is very upsetting to me. But the other book that I do, and I actually have it right here, is Temeraire, which I think actually has a different name in some places. This is one of her earliest novels, I think. Or if it is, maybe it's her first. I'm not 100% sure. But I do have the audiobook out from my library. So, and I bought this secondhand. So I think that's a sign that I should probably read this. I'm probably going to read this because I actually had the audiobook already available to me. So I think it's actually also pretty short. Like it's, yeah, this is like just over 300 pages. It's like 330. So it's not that long of a read. I'll put the audiobook on while I'm playing The Sims. And the other one, let's see. I'm just like full on cheating right now. Let's act shocked when I pull it. Oh my god, it actually was the next one I pulled. That is very funny to me. But oh my god, let's act shocked. A read-along book. Whatever shall I read for this? There's literally only one book that fits this, and that is The Shadow of What Was Lost. So I am actually surprised that this was the second one that came out. But so like, we're saying that I pulled this because I have to read it this week anyway. So yeah. So that one is like properly coming out, but I'm gonna put the ranking author back in for next time. But I hope I don't get it 2 times. So this is gonna be just a really quick update. Actually, let's be honest, that's probably a lie. But so yesterday on the 1st, I actually started a book. Oh my god, who is she? So I started The Shadow of What Was Lost, and I am 155 pages in, I believe. Yes. So I'm at chapter 14. I read this all physically because I don't have the audiobook available to me, which is fun. So I'm there, which is like decent progress. Like, it's not bad. Also my face was not in that at all, but whatever. Yeah, feeling so far. I have a feeling it's going to be a 4-star, but I feel like it's going to be like a middle of the road 4-star for me. I mean, we're still really early days. I think I'm only like 22%, I think Goodreads said. So like, we're still early days, but I have a gut feeling it's going to be a 4-star, but like a middle of the road 4-star, not like super high or super low. But I feel like it should be super high. Like, I'm already predicting this, and I still have, you know, so much more to go. But I think it's because of the mood I'm in. Like, I do not want to read big chunky fantasy. Like, brain cells, not there right now. And while I was reading this yesterday, I was like objectively, I was like, this is really interesting. There's a lot of like scheming. You don't know who to trust. There's like a lot of different like abilities happening, which I suppose I should give you a synopsis, which I'll give you now in a minute. But there's a lot happening. And I feel like objectively, it's very interesting. The world is interesting. The magic is interesting. The characters are okay. Like, none of them are like poorly written, but none of them are like super like, oh my god, I love this character. And also, I feel like, I don't know if the age is right, because they're supposed to be like 16, 17, and I know, I feel like sometimes they're very old and sometimes they are very young, and I feel like it just doesn't really fit. Also, like, if you judge it on the cover, are these supposed to be our main characters? Because they look like, you know, grown-ups, not like 16-year-olds. I'm like, if I was in the proper mood for this, I would literally be like, oh, trying to like piece all the pieces together. Like with like when I'm reading like Gem Lions, like I'm trying to like figure out, okay, how does this person connect to this person and all of this? And like, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I was reading this at the right time, I would be wanting to do that. But I'm just like, gotta get through it because I got a live show. So can't dwell on it. I'm sure if it's important, it'll come back. So I think that's my main problem, but I think that's more of a me problem rather than a book problem. But as I said, I suppose I will tell you what this book is actually about, since I also forgot what it was about until I was about like 30 pages in. I was like, oh, now I remember the synopsis. So, and especially since there's no like synopsis on the back, which is very annoying. The main point of view is Davian. Yes, Davian. And he basically, well, we don't know the full details of the past because typically with adult fantasy, you know, and, you know, real life, you know, the victors write the story. So like there's a lot we don't know about the past. But basically, so far what I know is there was this war, and there used to be the augurs in charge, and they had these abilities to like see the future and tell when people were, and be able to like read people and all of this. And then they were kind of corrupt, maybe. Details still upcoming. And basically there was also like a load of gifted people who could use this magic called like essence, and they kind of served the augurs. And there was like an uprising, and so now all the augurs are dead, and all of the gifted are like forced to go to like these schools where people basically can control them. So like there's a lot of strict rules, like they can't use the essence to hurt another person, and they can't go out by themselves unattended and all of this stuff. And Davian actually only found out when he was about 12 that he had these abilities, and he only ever used it like once, and then he's never been able to use it again. And the trials are upcoming, and if he fails the trials, it means he will become one of the shadows, which is basically when their powers are taken away and they're kind of like left scarred by it, and people basically ignore that they exist, and it's kind of hard. So he doesn't want to do that. And then someone comes to him like the night before the trials and is like, I know that you are important, so you gotta run. And then the only other update I have today is I actually bought The Lies of Loch Namora by Scott Lynch because it was €5. Because, well, there was a 3 for 12, but like there was actually no other books that I wanted. So I was like, it's €5, that's still fine. Like, since I started watching BookTube, like it's been a book that people talk about every so often. And it's always been a book where I'm like, yeah, interesting enough, but like, it's never been like super top of my TBR. But like, for €5, sure, I'll buy it. So yes, so that is all for now. This is being filmed at a very poor angle, but bear with me. So, update. I read a couple more chapters of Shadow of What Was Lost today. Also, it is Thursday. Okay, yeah, so I read actually about 60 more pages, which isn't bad. I mean, I'm still behind schedule, but it's not bad. And then yesterday, I listened to some of Temeraire, which I actually believe is His Majesty's Dragon in, like, other places. I listened to 77 pages of that yesterday while I was playing The Sims, and enjoying this so far. Actually very different from the other Naomi Novik books I've read. I've read Spinning Silver, and I've read Deadly Education and The Last Graduate. And like all of those are female perspectives. So like I think there's 4 like third person like female perspectives in Spinning Silver. And then our main focus in Deadly Education is Elle. And this is actually a male perspective, so interesting. You fell over. And then I'm continuing to enjoy this. I don't really have the motivation to pick it up, and did I say it the last time? But I want to read this, but I also really don't want to read this because I still haven't fully gotten out of my slump. And I feel like this is a book I am supposed to love, and I feel like I'm not going to love it if I read it right now. But I have to read it right now, so I don't really have a choice, because like I'm really liking it. And like there's been like a couple of small reveals. Some of them I saw coming, some of them I did not see coming, and so I'm liking it so far. I'm just afraid that I'm like not giving it the proper chance it deserves, but I am enjoying it, so we'll be happy with that. So like, I mean, like, because like the worst that's gonna happen, like I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 4-star, so it doesn't matter that much. But anyway, so tomorrow I'm going back home, and so I decided, I mean, obviously I have to finish this by like 5 o'clock on Saturday. Yes, like this is pretty short, but so I'm like, this would probably do me until Sunday, like, but just in case I finish these on like Saturday or finish this one like early on Sunday or something, I decided that I'll just pull out my next one just to like have the backup plan, you know, so that I know what I'm doing next. I've got my pencil case, and let us see. They're all like, they're all gathered together. So this one, oh, this is hard to read. A themed reading vlog. Okay, that actually suits. So, themed reading vlog, you cannot read it because it is bright orange. Really good decision on my part. So, themed reading vlog. I have 2 currently ongoing. One that's been ongoing since June that I've basically just forgotten about. But I will one day finish. And then the second one is trying to get books off my currently reading, which is good. And like I do have a currently reading stack, so like I could pull one from them, but like I think I'll probably just choose myself, and that's going to be Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. And so I'm probably not going to start that until, I mean, I've technically already started it, but I'm probably going to like leave it until next week. But if I do happen to finish these 2, I'll start that again. So that's all for now. Hello everyone. So it has been a while. Also, what the hell is that mark on my head? Ignore that. Anyway, so it is Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday. I last spoke to you on Thursday, so it's been a while. But I have 2 books to tell you about. So the first one is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington, and then the second one is Temura by Naomi Novik. So, I've given both of them 4 stars, which is good. I'm not going to talk about The Shadow of What Was Lost for too long. I finished that on Saturday, and I did a live show for Cassidy's Backlist Book Club, which is over on her channel, and I'll leave it linked down below. And there's actually like 20 minutes of non-spoiler talk at the start, which I feel like a lot of the times we'll do like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, but there's about 20 minutes of non-spoiler stuff, and then like another like 40-50 minutes of spoiler talk. So if you've read the book, that might interest you. So I'm not going to talk too long about that because you can get my thoughts there. But I give it 4 stars, a really decent 4 stars. And also the conversation that we had over there is very interesting because let's just say there was a range of opinions on it. And it kind of made me laugh because most of us, like, we agreed on like 75% of things. It just really goes to show that you can like agree on, yes, I did not like this thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, just because I don't like this thing doesn't mean I don't like the entire book, whereas like it can mean that for someone else. I didn't have like any major issues with it. I had a couple of minor ones. Number one, I did find it hard to kind of want to get back to the book. Like when I was reading it, I was really enjoying it. I was very intrigued, and it was a really quick read. Like I flew through it. But when I put the book down, I could have never picked it up again and been okay. And then the other kind of main issue, I guess, would be the characterization. So none of the characters are particularly strong, well-developed characters. I liked them well enough, and they were distinct enough for me. I know other people had problems with them not being different enough. I was fine with them. I thought they were okay. I didn't think any of them were like extremely well developed or interesting. I like our main character, Davian, I did like, but he was also the character that I struggled with the most sometimes because his characterization was just really off. Sometimes he went through some major personality changes almost within like 2 weeks, and I felt like that was maybe a bit too quick. Plot, I enjoyed. A lot of people compare it to The Wheel of Time. I genuinely have purged that book from my memory, so I cannot tell you, but I'm gonna guess yes. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like a bit of like a quest walking to a particular place kind of a feel to it, and I think that's what Wheel of Time was, but again, can't really remember. I've literally purged it from my mind, so oh well. I think the strongest part of it for me was like the intrigue. Like, I loved it, and this was kind of the thing that like divided people the most about the book. Was I loved how it was done, that like you didn't know everything. Like he's like, the author is purposely keeping things from you. I kind of like that, whereas like other people were like, I don't trust you enough to actually give me the payoff. And maybe I'm being optimistic because like the last Backlist Book Club pick, we did get burned. Like we all thought specific things were going to lead somewhere and then they never did. So like I could be being very optimistic and be let down, but I'm trying to keep it positive. But yeah, as I said, it really reminded me of like, it really gave me the feels of like the Rune of Kings, which, because like I literally just like, I wanted to grab a pen and paper and write down all of the characters, what the hell they're doing, write down like these kind of processy things and try and like figure it out. And like the Rune of Kings is the only other book that has made me feel that way, and I love feeling like that. So I think that's why I really loved it, which is such a weird thing. Oh, I enjoyed it because it made me want to take notes. That's so weird. And the other book I read was Temeraire by Naomi Novik, and this was her first novel, and it is very good. It is also a 4-star. And it is very different from her other books. I mean, all of her books are pretty different from each other. Like, yeah, very different. Because, so like, obviously like Spinning Silver and Uprooted are like fairy tale-esque. I've only read Spinning Silver. I'm afraid to read Uprooted because I've heard people who like Spinning Silver don't like Uprooted. So that's scary. But like they're very, you know, like whimsical, fairy tale, you know, it's in Spinning Silver, there's 4, it's third person, 4 different main characters, 4 different point of views, and it's all women. And then the Scalaman series is, you know, one perspective, it's Elle, it's very stream of consciousness, it's a more modern story as opposed to, you know, that fairy tale feeling, and it's a very different vibe because it is like this monster-filled school. So very different, monster-filled school, magical village with fairies. And then there's this, which is actually a male point of view. Napoleonic Wars. Like, very different. So yeah, so this is an alternate fantastical history where during the Napoleonic Wars, like, yes, the normal stuff is happening, you know, ships, all that, but also there's dragons. And I would also like to say, it's like I prepare for this because only a couple of months ago I found the channel Oversimplified, which is a history channel, and I think he has like 2 videos on the Napoleonic Wars. So I'm like, haha, I'm prepared for this. This book is very difficult to talk about though, because I don't really think there's not much of a plot here. Like, I feel like it's very much set up, but I enjoyed the setup. Like, it is, as I said, it's very different from our other stuff, but still, it's very solid for a debut. And very different writing style. So like, I can't really remember the writing style in Spinning Silver very much, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly descriptive. And then obviously Stream of Consciousness in Scalaman's, and this is just like pretty standard, I would say. It follows Captain Lawrence, who is a naval captain in the Napoleonic Wars, and during this like battle with a French ship, he ends up basically getting a dragon egg, and then it hatches into Temeraire and basically accidental animal companions. So yeah, and so that's basically a lot of the story. A lot of the story is like setting up like the time period, and the wars and all of that, and like building this bond between the dragon and our main character. And it is, as I said, it is like accidental animal companions, because like when they actually get to where they train like the dragons and all of that, it's like, oh, most people aren't this close to their dragons. So they're like definitely like a bit of an outlier. Characters, I really enjoyed the characters. Obviously Temeraire, icon. Any dragon is an icon, but you know, Temeraire is an icon. So our main character, Captain Lawrence, so he's a very interesting character, and I do like the way that Naomi Novik has kind of like not really strayed away from like, oh, it's like 1700s, 1800s, I can't remember. So like, you know, different ideals at the time, and I would say Will is like pretty like ahead of the times. He doesn't really believe in like, you know, really harsh discipline on his ship when things go wrong. So like, I guess he's like forward thinking in that way. But he's also like, he is shocked by the fact that there are women working around the dragons, and obviously like we see him like come to terms with that, but like he is like shocked by this. And but she manages to do it in a way that he's not unlikable, because he's like, well, I just have to adapt to this. I think it would be strange if he was like immediately like, yeah, that's cool, because like, as I said, it's a couple hundred years ago and everything else is like with the time period. As I said, there's not really a strong plot in here. Like, there's like a small battle like really close to the end, and that's like basically it. But it is a 9-book series, so it's a lot of setup, but I was okay with that, and I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend. Hello everyone. So, please ignore the huge stack of books. I was filming something. Me filming a video? Who? But anyway, the last I spoke to you was Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, I think. I think it was Tuesday morning. Anyway, and I was talking to you about Shadow of What Was Lost and Temeraire. The update is, so last Thursday I actually pulled it out, so it's been a while since I pulled it, but I didn't actually start reading it until Tuesday. Or restart reading it, whatever. And that was The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. And I pulled that for themed reading vlog, which I'm doing one where I'm trying to clear off my currently reading, which has been built up since my slump started in like May. And Blood of Olympus was probably like the first fallen soldier to that war on the slump. Like I started that 25th of May. It was Becca's book uploadathon, and I got 50 pages in and I stopped. And I joke that it's because Percy and Annabeth weren't in it, but it was because of the slump. But also, Percy and Annabeth not being in it didn't help. And I did finish it. Obviously, I'm not going to give you full details because the whole point of me pulling it out was so I would read it for my themed reading vlog, which I have done. So I will discuss it in my themed reading vlog, which might be out before this or might be out after this. I'm not really sure, but I will just say that I gave it 3 stars. It was underwhelming. And like, as I said, I was joking about Percy and Annabeth not being there and oh, I'm so sad about it. But it did actually impact my enjoyment. And not because, oh, I'm not getting their perspectives. That wasn't the reason. Though, like, maybe it impacted it a tiny bit. But it was just because of, I felt there was a lot of inconsistencies in things that like he mentioned in the Percy Jackson series as opposed to this. And like that could be because Percy Jackson is an unreliable narrator. Like he's kind of oblivious. And then I felt like in the end none of it really mattered, as in like the 3 middle books anyway. Again, I can't really say I'm like worried about spoiling it. The series started with Jason, Piper and Leo, and in the end that's what the final book came down to, the 3 of them. And then, like, the more I was thinking about it, I was just like, what was the point of Frank, Hazel, Annabeth, and Percy? Like, yeah, they had, like, small things to do, but honestly, you could basically cut that out and just make it a story about the 3 of them, which, I mean, I didn't really care about them as characters, but I really enjoyed Raina and Nico's parts. And, I mean, I've been joking, again, this is another thing I've been saying throughout the week as I've been reading it to people. Like, the 7, they are work colleagues. Like, they are work acquaintances. Like, they are not friends. You can, no matter how many times you tell me, Rick, I do not believe it, because you have shown me nothing that makes me actually believe that. But one book of Raina and Nico, absolutely believed it. And like, it's the same with like previous books that he's done. Like, I believed, you know, in the first book that Grover, Annabeth, and Percy were friends. So like, he can do it. I just don't know why he didn't bother to develop, especially since they're so long, because you just kept telling me they're friends and I don't believe you. The other problem is now I'm really excited for the Nico and Will story, The Sun and the Star, I think it's called, coming out next year. I think it's coming out in like, actually I think it might be on my birthday or the day before my birthday. But to read that I would have to read The Trials of Apollo. I don't really want to read The Trials of Apollo. So yeah, struggles. But I am definitely going to read the 6th Percy Jackson book. Anyway. Currently reading. So I actually think I only have 3 left. So one is Memory of Souls by Jen Lyons, which I do really want to read. I might start it this weekend, but like I'm not going to finish it in time for the vlog because I want to finish that vlog soon. So that leaves 2 more. This I actually want to read for another vlog, which I started in June. So that leaves this, Gods of Jade and Shadow. Oh, I was really enjoying this. I'm 100 pages in. That's literally a third of the way through the book. I was really enjoying it, but as I said, I stopped. And I can't really remember what happened. It's set in 1920s, and our main character, Cassiopeia, yes, I remember that. She releases the god of death, the Mayan god of death. And he's basically like, oh, is it a piece of him is in her or a piece of her is in him? I think a piece of her is in him. And he's like, if you don't help me, you're gonna die. If we're separated for too long, you're gonna die. So you kind of gotta help me. So she helps him. And as I said, it was good so far. Hello. So I'm walking. Also, I'm like, what is going on with my shirt? So anyway, I finished Gods of Jade and Shadow, which was that currently reading, I think. I can't remember. So I've read 4 books so far this month, which is impressive for me. And obviously that is for my currently reading vlog. Just give you a brief rundown. So I gave it 4 stars in the end. I started that back in June. When I picked it up, I kind of like skimmed over the first 100 pages again and then continued. And I think it would have been a 4-star whether I read it all then or whether I read it all now, or, you know, with the gap in between. I think it might have been a higher 4, but I don't think it would have gotten into the 5-star territory. This book really made me question, like, what kind of reader am I? Because that's a question that like everyone on BookTube asks. They're like, oh, am I a character driven, plot driven, writing reader, you know, world building, blah 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 blah. And I genuinely don't know. Like, when I was younger, I was definitely a character driven reader, and I still love characters in books. Like, I really love to root for them, you know? But I think everyone does. Like, even if that's not something that like is super important to you, it's still nice to be able to root for. But, you know, that's something that I think as I've grown as a reader, and especially reading more adult fantasy, and, you know, lines are a bit more blurred, it's harder to be like, okay, I really love this character and all of their actions, because things are more complicated than that. And so what I've realized is I don't think I'm any sort of reader. So like, I don't think I'm character or plot or blah 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 blah. I think I'm, as long as one of them is brilliant, I'm that kind of reader. Like, so for example, this book, I would say it's like vibe slash atmosphere slash writing. Like, that is like top tier in this book. And so I was like, I'm a reader for the vibes, guys. Whereas like, and then like the characters were good, the plot was like meh. So I think that's what sort of reader I am. So I'm like, but also important to note is like, so one of them has to be really good for me to enjoy a book. Like characters, writing, plot, world building, atmosphere, all of that stuff. One of those has to be like really good for me to like the story. And then the others, they have to be at least meh. Like, you know, like, okay. Like, nothing can be like bad, or else I will not enjoy the book. So yeah, so that's what I think I am. That's the sort of reader I think I am. As long as you're doing one thing brilliantly and everything else okay, I'm going to enjoy your book. So yeah, so 4-star for that. And I really enjoyed it. So then, what else? Also, so I didn't read anything else. But I think for my adult book that I picked out the last time, I'm going to read Memory of Souls. That needs to be read, and I think my library audiobook goes back in like 9 days. I start my next vlog, I'm going to pull out another one and see what I can get. So yes, so thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.